Many people are quick to look at Wole Soyinka and point at his Nobel laureate title, and he's also a professor. On a personal ground, you can consider those fantastic achievements. But as a leader that he is, can you really say he's a success or a big failure? Let's look at the antecedents. Let's unravel this whole thing about Wole Soyinka and the likes of him, the likes of them, Obasanjo, Wole Soyinka, Robert Clark, Robert Clark, the Black Oyinbo, the lawyer that is very quick to defend Tinubu. I hear that he's a lawyer for Tinubu's Alpha Beta company. And you will find very quickly that a lot of the lawyers out there now on mainstream media that are defending the tribunal judgment, you'll find, by the time you look deeper, you'll find out that they are actually one way or the other linked to the payroll of Tinubu. But let's look at all of them together. The generation of Wole Soyinka, how have they fared for Nigeria? He's a Nobel laureate. But who Nobel laureate help? What has Nobel laureate done for Nigeria? 140 million persons living in multi-dimensional poverty. These people, particularly the youth of Nigeria, saw an opportunity in the 2023 election to take their destiny into their hands, to take back Nigeria from the hands of those that want to destroy it. And their hopes were dashed. And the best that the generation of Wole Soyinka can do, the best that Wole Soyinka can do, is come out to say the kind of things he said in South Africa. Things that were purely lies. He was talking about Gbajue, that Peter Obi and Labour Party were trying to do what Yorubas call Gbajue. Obviously, it is clear that Wole Soyinka, maybe after having read so much, has forgotten the meaning of Gbajue. Because the true meaning of Gbajue is actually demonstrated by what INEC did during the 2023 election. And we have not seen Wole Soyinka come to criticize INEC, not even close. Gbajue is what the supporters of Tinubu did. Even Tinubu himself, telling his supporters that power is not served a la carte. You have to snatch it, you have to grab it, you have to run with it. And that's what we saw through the likes of MC Oluomo, the likes of Bayo Ononuga, the likes of Festus Keyam, likes of Femi Fani-Kayode. Through them, the violence that were perpetrated. That's Gbajue. Did we hear Wole Soyinka come to condemn it? Of course not. Now, the judiciary had a rare opportunity to correct the anomalies of the election. And they chose to turn a blind eye. All the rubbish that happened in Rivers State, that was clear as day to every well-meaning Nigerians. The justices of the Supreme Court didn't even, of the Court of Appeal didn't even bother to make a comment about it. They had the opportunity and they refused to do the right thing. And then, did we hear Wole Soyinka? Of course we won't hear him. His generation were a generation of Nigerians that benefited. They took over a Nigeria that was virile, a Nigeria that was prosperous, and they ruined it. 50 years after, we have a Nigeria that is working for only less than 1% of people, and a Nigeria that has 140 million people that are living in abject poverty, multi-dimensional poverty, brought about by Wole Soyinka and his generation. And rather than bury his head in shame, rather than come out to be issuing apology, the likes of Wole Soyinka should not even be saying anything in public other than apology to the youths of this country. Because they ruined this country. They ruined Nigeria. These are people who went to school in a time where Nigeria was flourishing, was at its best. They had scholarships. They were being paid to go to school. In UI, in OAU, in Unilag then, it was 2 students to a room. And they were not even washing their clothes. They would just put their laundry in the front of the door of their hostel rooms and cleaners will come and take their clothes, wash it for them, return it, and that's all they needed to do was just come to school and read. It was one student to a full chicken. And when they finished their first degree, they were given scholarship to study abroad for their masters. That was the Nigeria that Wole Soyinka and his generation had and took over. 50 years after, we have this Nigeria that they are bequeathing to the next generation. They have ruined it, and they are not even tired of ruining it. And rather than bury their heads in shame, they are coming to make these false statements that they are making. That Peter Obi is grooming hardliners to come out and protest. Obvious lies. Because it is Peter Obi that is even stopping the protests. Well, if there's a lie that Peter Obi has told, is the lie that, oh, we can trust the judiciary. Perhaps that's the lie. Because every other thing, this protest you're talking about, we should have had this protest since. The way the protest happened in Gabon, immediately after the election, should have been the way the protest should have happened in Nigeria. But for Peter Obi, that calmed everything down and called on obedience, to be obedient to his voice and not protest. And that's what we have. And everybody kept saying all lies on the judiciary, as if the judiciary were going to do justice. Did we get justice from the Court of Appeal, from the tribunal? So far, no. And they said they are heading to the Supreme Court. I am not so hopeful. I am not so hopeful. Let's still just see. We said all eyes on the judiciary. What did they do to our eyes? They put their hands in our eyes. Perhaps the Supreme Court will do justice. Perhaps they will put their hands into our eyes anymore. Once again. But what I want to just say is this. The people will react. I've said it. When the people are pushed to the wall, they will react. We saw it in Sri Lanka. We saw it in Gabon. We can see it in Nigeria. Don't rule out the possibility of the people enforcing their sovereignty, because sovereignty lies with the people ultimately. So the likes of Wole Soyinka should hide their heads in shame, because they have failed Nigeria. They have failed the youths. They have failed this generation. What they should be doing is coming out and begging and apologizing to the youths of Nigeria, to the women, to the multi-dimensionally poor Nigerians, to the 66 million unemployed Nigerians, to those that have suffered losses in the hands of insecurity in Nigeria. That's what Wole Soyinka should be apologizing. Not coming to tell us he's Nobel laureate that has not advanced the cause of Nigeria in any way. Who Nobel laureate help? Is Nobel laureate helping to remove 140 million Nigerians out of multidimensional poverty, rather than come out and, obviously, the statements that Wole Soyinka made in South Africa do not reflect his gray hair. Gray hair is synonymous with wisdom, but there's no wisdom in the statement that Nobel laureate. Wole Soyinka said, no wisdom in it. And it's a shame. People like him should stop talking. We don't want to hear your voices anymore. You have ruined this country enough. And if you're not going to take the moral high ground and start talking about how you're going to fix it, don't add to our sorrows. We suffered enough. The ball is in our courts, and we will take our destiny in our hands. Nobody should be afraid of protest this time around. Because unless we come out and take our destinies in our hands, these people have shown they are not interested in fixing Nigeria for you and for me. This is not the time to be afraid. This is the time for us to come together. They are ganging up. See what they are doing with the appointments. They are removing people and putting their own gang members. That's what they are doing. So if these people are ganging up against the overall interest of Nigeria, what should you and I be doing? We should also be ganging up. Enough of all this talk. You see, talk is not going to solve anything. A wise person said once that plenty talk, not a full basket. It will not fill basket. You can talk from now till tomorrow. It appears though that you already know that what we like to do is talk. And after 1 or 2 days, we'll get over it and then they'll do a worse thing. The time has come to go beyond mere talks. The time for us to take our destiny in our hands is here, and we should not be afraid. Starting with protests to enforce our rights, to enforce. See, this is beyond even just declaring Obi winner. We're talking about a process that INEC promised was going to be real-time transmission, and they did not do it. That's what it's outright fraud. It is criminal. And what we expected was that the tribunal should have at least said, oh, the evidence that tribunal is asking Peter Obi to provide, Peter Obi got court order for INEC to provide such evidence. INEC refused. And then the same court that is supposed to be holding INEC in contempt is coming back to now bite Peter Obi to say Peter Obi did not present evidence that we all saw. So I am waiting. Like I've said before, the ball is in our court. We have to be ready to take our destinies in our hands. And by the way, I said it before, the only sure grounds that is not based on the prerogative of the judiciary is proving majority lawful votes. And this can only happen by tendering our own Labour Party collated results. We are yet to see it. We need to see it. So that when we talk, we have evidence to it. Is not contempt of court now. So please provide this evidence. We'll take back this country, whatever the cost. We will take it back.